Hey everyone, welcome back to the second part of the Thunderstorm tutorial. In this one we'll focus on the rain particle system. It will be fairly simple. We will use p-flow, but first we're gonna make sure that we are matching your time range and that we are using the good drop shape. During the test, you don't need to activate the GI here as well. It's just a fixed pass that we're gonna use on top of our rounders. To make the rain, we can use two options. The first will have been to use line shapes to make our particle look like drops. Or like here, by using a low polygon sphere combined with some motion blur. It will be way more realistic looking. Make sure you are using a good metric system for the size of your scene. This is the shapes I basically use to create this rain. I just combine it with two particle flow, but I'm gonna show you that later. You have to set the start of the simulation before the beginning of your timeline, to make sure that the rain won't just suddenly drop into your animation. Also, make sure to properly set up the duration of your simulation. You don't want the rain to just suddenly stop. The amount, I'm using the rate system, because I found it that the result was a little bit better when I was using giant particle system, especially for big scene. You don't need to change anything here, just make sure that you're not locked in the emitter. For the speed, you can, if you want, use some variation, but don't go crazy there, because what we are doing here it's rain and not some snow, so the drops should be fairly at the same speed. We don't need any random rotation here, so you can disable it or just remove it. Obviously, the size will be important here, but I will show you that you can control it with another scale knob. It will be easier to manage. There is a lot of possibilities to create a ground contact. One can be simply by optimizing your p-flow and make the particle system disappearing when it's touching the ground. Or what you can do is using a low polygon version of the ground and generate another p-flow. When the particle hits the ground, it's gonna create some splashes. Check the end of the video for that. For now, let's make the particle disappear. We could have used particle edges, but I found this one a little bit more better to use. You won't make the mistake of making the rain disappearing before hitting the ground. It will look really weird. So I'm choosing the option of optimizing my particle flow. And we can use a ground, but you can pick any geometry. What you're gonna have to use instead is a deflector. Set that your collision system is set on stop. As you can see here now, my particle system is just stopping after the deflector. We can now merge some basic lightning and do some render tests to help us create the motion blur. Before that, don't forget to add a material to the rain. I wanted something that really got really bright when my thunder was showing up, so I did a very pure reflective shader, almost a transparent mirror. You don't really need to care on the color, because it's a FX pass. Remember that you can always tweak it in comp. As you noticed, there is two ways of doing the motion blur, by camera or by controlling it with some values. I use the first one because it's physically based on the camera and it will be more accurate. But if you are not familiar with very camera, like the aperture, ISO and etc., I just suggest you to use a regular value system. As you can see, the motion blur is already doing the trick. Those who want to use a regular value system, don't forget to work in perspective or in a standard camera view. Otherwise, you won't see that the motion blur is actually activated. So when you're done on Pretty Happy, what you should do is run a quick render test to make sure that the run is not going crazy or that you don't have enough motion blur. So this is what I'm getting right now by just doing a simple render test. And because you are following my advices, I hope so, you should be able to merge your previous light rig that you created for the Thunderstorm and merge it into your scene. You can also merge a ground or a fake dummy to give you an idea of how big is your scene. Then we can trick the audience by linking our P-flow on the camera. Make sure the rotation is enabled. Doing that will give the impression that it's running all the way along. But my secret here is that I wanted to give a really deepest feeling of the rain, so I used two particle systems. One that is linked to the camera for the close-up and a giant one for the background. Like here, this is the preview render or the foreground particle system. The second one is a bit slower. If you look the rain, you can notice this effect. Close raindrops are faster than the one in the back. Also, having two particle flow will be easier to tweak and combine in the comp. Remember, as a CG artist, comp is your friend, and if you want to get realistic looking 3D, you will have to comp a lot of stuff, especially VFX. This is the way. No, I'm kidding, you can do everything in the file, but then your render time will be crazy. So actually yes, this is the way, don't ask. When you are working on a giant background scene, what I recommend first is making sure you are only displaying 1% of the P-flow in the viewport. If you don't, your computer will crash and you won't be happy with my tutorial, so please don't do that. Also make sure that this particle system is a little bit slower than the previous one. Like I mentioned earlier, what we're gonna do here is creating a fake foreground with speed P-flow and a background with more slower particle. Here, the scale node I mentioned earlier. This one is cool because it will allow you to tweak the size of all events or particles in your P-flow system. Feel free to then use some force gravity system to make the drop falling like in an arc shape. Contrary to the previous render, here the background render of the rain, as you can see, is pretty dense and packed. Here I render without the rain, then the background, and the foreground drops. And the grand finale is the magical splash effect. Use a very low poly ground, I insist on that. And use this new ground as a contact instead of the previous deflectors. Full ground contact now. What you can do then is loading a new geometry of a splash animation and drop it into the new collision event. You can do this splash within any software like Houdini, Typeflow or else. just add a new shape node here. So this is it. You should now be able to create any storm for your project. Don't hesitate to show me your results or to reach me for any question. I hope you enjoyed this quick tutorial. Feel free to follow me and hope to see you soon. Cheers!